On Wednesday's Wales at 6. Could our COVID protection levels need a boost? Researchers warn they're seeing waning immunity in the double-vaccinated. We'll have the latest. Also on the programme.
It stands for those we loved and those we lost.
The Gay Men's Choir's powerful tribute to those who lost their lives to the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s.
Everything was kept hush-hush. Some people who went into hospital were so ashamed they would never tell anybody. They didn't want anybody to visit them. So they passed away without their loved ones next to them, which I think is very sad.
And the golf club that's won a special award for inspiring more women to take part in the sport. But will they have the weather to get on the green?
Hello there, a very good evening to you. I'm Alexandra Hartley. The vaccine programme in Wales has been one of the most successful in the world, with more than 84% of the adult population having now received at least one dose. Today, though, experts are warning that plans for vaccine boosters must be made urgently. It's after new research found the protection provided by 2 doses of both the Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines starts to drop within 6 months. The Health Minister, Eluned Morgan, says plans are in place for booster jabs as soon as they're needed. Sean Jenkins has tonight's top story.
It's a question that's been asked since the vaccine rollout began in December. How much and for how long do COVID jabs protect us? Today, some answers. According to data collected from more than 1 million people who'd received 2 doses of the vaccine, the Pfizer jab was 88% effective at preventing COVID-19 infection a month after the second dose. But after 5 to 6 months, that protection decreased to 74%. And with the AstraZeneca vaccine, there was a protection against infection of 77% 1 month after the second dose. After 4 to 5 months, though, protection decreased to 67%. A reduction in protection was always expected, but speaking on Sky News earlier today, the lead scientist who produced this data said the priority now has to be booster jabs.
If our aim is to reduce the number of deaths and hospitalisations, then booster jabs are definitely what we should be prioritising above vaccinating children. Because I think there's a limited supply of vaccines and you're not able to do everything you want to do.
And according to the Health Minister, boosters will be available here in Wales, first to the elderly and vulnerable, as soon as the Welsh Government is given the green light by the committee in charge of vaccinations across the UK.
The Welsh Government is absolutely ready to go. The health boards are ready to go. Everybody knows what they need to do. And we have been pushing for this rollout to happen as soon as possible. We are ready. But we are waiting for that recommendation from the JCVI.
Vaccinations are still protecting people against severe COVID and preventing deaths. But today's data reminds us that there are more steps to be taken as we all try to live our lives with the virus. Sean Jenkins, ITV News.
Children and young people who were previously classed as being clinically extremely vulnerable to coronavirus will no longer be asked to shield. The Welsh Government says the decision was made after a comprehensive review of evidence, and the move has been endorsed by all UK chief medical officers. Vaccinations for some children aged between 12 and 15 with specific conditions or who live with a vulnerable adult will continue. More than 40% of families with children in Wales will be impacted by the end of the universal credit uplift. That's according to exclusive figures revealed by ITV News. The £20 uplift was introduced last year in response to the challenges facing many people on lower incomes during the pandemic. The UK government has said its focus now is on helping people develop skills and find new work. Organisations from across Wales have met with the Welsh Government today to coordinate efforts to help Afghan refugees. First Minister Mark Drakeford says he wants Wales to be a nation of sanctuary for those fleeing Afghanistan. every local authority here has agreed to offer refuge to families arriving. Well, I'm joined now by Andrea Cleaver from the Welsh Refugee Council. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, Andrea. Firstly, how did today's discussions go? What was discussed?
It was a really positive meeting. We had representatives from the third sector, from health, from the military, from local councils, and we kind of were talking about mobilising support. So where are the gaps and what needs to happen and when? We talked about some of the gaps that we're facing, so a lack of information around the numbers that are coming to Wales and how that impacts on the planning around that. We also heard from the military, who were really keen to press how much they want to do to support people that they see as having done a huge amount for their efforts in Afghanistan.
Well, we've all seen the absolutely horrific scenes in Afghanistan, especially at Kabul airport. What's your understanding of what is going on the ground out there?
So we've seen footage, photographs ourselves of the Taliban doing house-to-house checks. We know that there is a real threat to life for those that were involved in democracy making, getting women into education, and our colleagues have seen video footage of the Taliban beating people and preventing them from getting to the airport. So I can't underestimate the threat to life that's happening right now and the anguish that that's causing, both on the ground over there and to our families in Wales.
I mean, it's completely incomprehensible, really, for anyone living here. I mean, what can we do back here to help support those people who are fleeing this?
So the Welsh Rufugee Council has a website where we are collecting offers of support. The Welsh Government also has a website where you can put forward your offers of support. What's needed will be worked out in the coming weeks, but it's also important that we don't lose the interest around refugee settlement and we mobilise that. So we've seen offers of support for volunteering, and more importantly for cash donations so that charities can actually get what they need. And those offers are hugely appreciated for organisations on the ground right across Wales.
I don't think anyone could really understand, living in this country, what they're going through being in a war zone. But there will be people perhaps watching this who will think, gosh, we still need support here in this country. Can't we get help first? What would your message to them be?
Well, I think it's difficult, isn't it? And the local authorities have challenges around looking at priority areas. And I think that's one of the reasons why having more information over the coming days and weeks will help us all to plan better around some of those challenges.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, Andrea Cleaver, and well, good luck with all the support that's needed over the coming weeks to help support these families.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A member of a gay men's choir has shared his experience of losing close friends to AIDS in the 1980s. 63-year-old Nigel Lewis from Cardiff says those diagnosed with the condition endured prejudice, discrimination and even rejection by their families and friends. His choir has now recorded a new song in tribute to all those in Wales who died, taking inspiration from the Red Ribbon Memorial Tree in Cardiff. Mike Griffiths went to meet them to find out more.
A place to remember, a place to reflect. Nigel Lewis has lived in Cardiff since he was 19. This memorial tree in the city centre commemorates the friends he's lost to AIDS.
One of my very closest friends died very early in the epidemic, unfortunately. We all used to get checked at the clinic, and I would go in and I was sitting there one day and Graham said to me, I said, hi Nigel. I said, I've come in for my checkup, He said, are you here for something? He said, you don't know, do you? I said, don't know what, Graham? He said, I have HIV. And about, I would say, maybe a month after that, he passed away. And he was a really lovely fella. People went through a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of prejudice. Some people who went into hospital were so ashamed they would never tell anybody. They didn't want anybody to visit them. So they passed away without their loved ones next to them, which I think is very sad. One of my friends, Mike Phillips, and his best friend, Martin Nowacek, they decided they wanted to plant a tree in memory of all the people that we'd lost. The tree was planted by themselves and with the Cardiff mayor at the time. And so it's now 27 years later.
One of the gentlemen who planted that tree,
Martin, yes.
he died very soon after.
Yes, apparently about 3 weeks after he passed away at the age of 27, which is a very young age to miss most of your life.
The tree and other key locations to the community have inspired a special song. This Tree, This Man is a collaboration between the choir and composer Jordan Price Williams.
I wasn't part of the generation that lived through that. I think it's an important focal point to remind people, whether you're in the community or not, about things that the people sacrificed in order for people like myself to enjoy the rights that we have today. The most important thing was to really connect with the people in the choir, to understand the things that motivate us, the things that are important to us in the LGBT plus community in Cardiff.
Being part of a choir, being part of that community is something lots of people can relate to. How important is that?
Well, it's like being in a safe environment. Many years ago, you didn't have a safe environment. Now, people can be gay and join a choir, be in a gay choir, and you're all the same. Everybody gets treated exactly the same. I think it brings all ages together. I think we're one of the few choirs where the age range is from about early 20s right up to 73. The youngsters listen to some of the things we tell them, you know, and vice versa. Our lives are different. Their gay life is probably completely different to what mine was when I was their age.
So when you come down to the tree here, what do you think about?
Well, you do think about the happy times, actually. Graham was a very gregarious sort of person. He used to love having parties and things like that, and we all used to go to them. We had some really good times, so that's what you do think as well. It's sad, obviously, that person isn't with you any longer, but you remember those good memories always. We ourselves as a choir are determined to attend the vigil this year and to remember the people that we did lose and what they stood for and what they achieved and what they went through, so that the younger generation this is now a piece of modern history. If they paved the way for them to have the rights they have today and enjoy the life they have today and live their lives as they want to, without the prejudice and the discrimination that we actually suffered.
Mike Griffiths reporting there. Now, with more of us choosing to holiday in the UK this year, an increasing number of people are renting motorhomes. It's a chance to enjoy the beautiful Welsh countryside by parking for free overnight at different sites. But the topic of free overnight camping is controversial, with some saying people should be charged, otherwise it brings little value to the area. Well, one area which has seen an increase in motorhomes is Ross-on-Sea, where Rob Shelley is for us this evening. Rob, some conflicting views on this then.
Oh, absolutely, Alex. Let me introduce you to Ethel, the very bright red camper van. It's not mine, it's Gerard on cameras. I have camper van envy. But the big question here is, where should Ethel spend the night? Now, you walk down the prom here, you can't miss the sign saying no motorhomes after midnight. It's a bit like Cinderella, only with better tea and coffee making facilities. Conway, like many other councils, would like to see people use recognised campsites where there are loos and you can recycle your litter and basically do the sustainable tourism thing. The only thing is, because these wonderful objects are all about the freedom of the road, some people are pushing at those freedoms maybe a little bit too much. There's a little bit of conflict between people living by the coast here and people maybe, well, visiting and popping their tent up from time to time. We've been to ask people what they think.
You wouldn't want to argue with a double yellow line, and leaving your car over a dropped curb is definitely not on. So, the question in this slightly strange staycation summer, as Wales seems to almost fill up, where's it acceptable to park that home on wheels, the camper van, overnight?
I do have a camper van. And we do a lot of wild camping. However, we've noticed since lockdown, there's more people out. And the only downside of it is they're not taking the litter with them. So we seem to have a new breed of campers.
A series of rows and raised eyebrows in places like Rhyl, Abergele and Llandudno have happened with some vans who are parking up overnight, both outside of the restrictions and right in front of the sea.
There's facilities elsewhere to be able to do that, so utilise that and pay into the economy to support the local businesses.
What's the etiquette with where you decide to, rest your camper van at night?
It's always a difficult one, and I think it's one of those where people think that, we'll just jump in a caravan, jump in somewhere, go park up, and that's it. But I think to really enjoy the holidays properly, it's all to do with planning, really, to be honest with you. But our biggest recommendation to people is always go to a certified campsite.
And that's what any council in Wales will tell tourists too. But this week especially, demand for holidays in Wales is starting to outstrip supply.
It's common sense and planning. And once you've got that, the only thing you have to worry about is whether you turn left or turn right in the road.
You do have a different relationship with a camper van than you do with, say, a car. And so the temptation to park your living room on wheels in front of the best view you can find must be pretty big.
We usually stay on a proper site, but I know that it can be a bit of a contentious sort of subject about where you park and everything, but there isn't enough parking space for camper vans really, and I think you tend to find now more people are wanting to do it.
What is like the camper van etiquette with parking up? Do you just go for the best view, or is it kind of...
Well, it's nice to be by the sea if you can.
What are we like in Wales for parking camper vans?
Well, it is hard, isn't it? It's very hard to park because they're stopping them now everywhere.
So what do you do?
We have to park where you can because the fields are too expensive in other sites. Some sites up to £50 a night.
This isn't just an engine and a chassis. The camper van is a symbol of where we are in 2021. The wheels that are driving an awful lot of people as far away from those lockdown months as they can get. And yet, how much freedom should there be in that freedom of the road? Rob Shelley, ITV News, in the North Wales coast.
Now, these wonderful things are part of the zeitgeist, the signs of our times. I found my old I Spy on the road, which doesn't mention a single camper van at all, but you do score 25 points if you see a sign for someone selling peacocks. Basically, they are a part of 2021. Obviously, we're not that far away from a bank holiday. The problem's going to get slightly more acute for the coastal parts of Wales, but the camper van isn't going anywhere, even though, as you know, it can go just about everywhere.
Well, I'm very jealous of Ethel the camper van. You enjoy, Rob Shelley. Thanks very much. There's still plenty more to come on the programme. We'll have all the latest sports results, and Kelsey is in Kidwelly, enjoying some sport there as well tonight, Kelsey.
Yes, Alex, I'm live from the golf club that's won a very special award for inspiring more women to get involved in the sport. But will they have the right weather conditions to get on the green? I'll have all the details for you a little bit later in the programme.
But first tonight, figures show that more than a third of LGBT+ employees have hidden it at work for fear of discrimination. Now, as part of Pride Month, a group of North Wales police officers are sharing their own personal experiences to help others feel more comfortable in themselves. They say diversity within their team helps them do their job and encourages others to engage with the police. Ian Lang went to meet them.
3 serving North Wales police officers who know the value of diversity and how it can make a real difference in their work and to the community they serve. All 3 are part of the South Flintshire neighbourhood policing team and are sharing their story as part of Pride Cymru Week. From age, disability, sex, gender reassignment, race and sexual orientation, they believe the differences within the team are a real source of strength. PCSO Connor Friel is a transgender officer who has worked with young people in the community struggling with their sexuality and gender identity.
It helps massively having the background that I've got, because in terms of communication, in terms of empathy, you can begin to recognise when maybe someone isn't acting the way that they normally would, and you think that you've got to dig a little bit deeper under the surface to find out what the underlying issues are and why people start coming to our notice. And after building up a little bit of a rapport with them and having the connections to other agencies, once people start getting that support, it's massive for them, and you just see their behaviour, their demeanour, their entire quality of life change.
PCSO Adelina Alaro Breckel moved from Romania to the UK after revealing to her family that she was gay and she believed she wouldn't fit in. She believes her understanding of cultural differences is an advantage.
I do think it's quite daunting moving to a different country as a foreign national, and maybe leaving the country that you've been living in for so many years with the perception that being gay is wrong. Gives you it opens a new universe to how people are accepted for being different. I feel people are more open to talk to you when they realize that you are from a different country as well, and you come from a similar background as they have. It's vital to getting the conversation started and having people trust the police.
Sergeant Emma Prevet believes the differences of perspective in her team are a real source of strength.
Diversity is different. People have their own difference, and that's important because we do need to reflect our communities. So we've, looking at just the neighbourhood policing team in Flintshire, South Flintshire, we've got age, we've got disability, we've got gender, we've got sexual orientation, we've got transgender. A true reflection of the communities that we're policing.
We'll keep talking about the diversity until we don't need to talk about the diversity anymore, because we just need to change people's perceptions of what normal is and what different is, and until we're all just integrated.
This policing team is proud of its diversity and how that is helping it do its job. Ian Lang, ITV News, Mould.
You're watching Wales at 6, a reminder of our top story. Scientists are warning that plans for vaccine boosters must be made urgently. It's after new research found the protection provided by 2 doses of both the Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines starts to drop within 6 months. The Health Minister, Eluned Morgan, says plans are in place for booster jabs as soon as they're needed.
The Welsh Government is absolutely ready to go. The health boards are ready to go. Everybody knows what they need to do, and we have been pushing for this rollout to happen as soon as possible. We are ready.
And still to come on the ITV Evening News before 7.
The final hours to get thousands back from Afghanistan. Outside Kabul airport, those desperate to flee the Taliban wait in vain as the Foreign Secretary says every hour now counts. On day 1 of the Paralympics, a record-breaking 15th gold medal for Dame Sarah Storey, one of 6 UK medals. And the vet staffing crisis, just as the pandemic fuels more and more of us to get a pet. Well, join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Time for a look now at some of the sports headlines.
For the love of the game. eBay sponsors ITV Cymru Wales Sports Report.
To Tokyo first, and Wales's Jim Roberts has played his part in the men's Paralympics GB win in today's wheelchair rugby. The 33-year-old from Welshpool helped his side to win over Canada 50-47. They will face New Zealand next. In football, Swansea City marched through to the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup after a dominant second-half display against Plymouth Argyle. Daniel Williams opened the scoring from just outside the penalty area. The visitors did pull one back, but after an impressive second-half hat-trick from Morgan Whittaker sealed the Swans' passage to the next stage of the competition. Meanwhile, it wasn't such a good night for Cardiff City, who were knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Premier League Brighton. The visitors went ahead after just 9 minutes. A goal from Jacob Moder put his side in front. Andy Zakiri then secured another shortly into the second half. And Newport City are in Carabao Cup action of their own this evening. They take on Premier League side Southampton at Rodney Parade. Now, a golf club in Kidwelly received a special award today for improving inclusivity and inspiring more women to get involved in the sport. It's all after the ladies' captain, Sam Molyneux, asked why women couldn't play on a Saturday like the men's team. Well, that's all changed now, and to tell us more about it, Kelsey is at the club for us this evening. Kelsey, how's your putting skills coming along there?
I'll tell you what, Alex, I'll give you a bit of an example. There we are, got it in the hole. I've been practicing, as you can see, that was very easy. But yes, I am live here in Kidwelly at Glyn Abbey Golf Club because, as you say, they've won a very special award that's helped to inspire more women to get involved in the sport. Now, I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by the ladies team captain, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us in this beautiful sunshine. Tell me a little bit about this award, because we saw the ceremony going on earlier, the award handing over. What's the award all about?
So the Women in Golf Charter is about inclusion of women and juniors and families in golf. It's been a very male-orientated environment for years now, and Wales Golf are trying to promote and include women and trying to get more families involved. And it sort of came from there, really. We realised as a club, although we're very friendly and very inclusive, we're not technically inclusive. So I asked the question one day, why can't we play in these competitions? And the question was like, so I thought, well, I'll phone Wales Golf and ask them. And Wales Golf said, right, you need the Women in Golf Charter. So that's what we've been working on for the last 5 months. And we've ticked off quite a few things. We've got our tees slope rated for ladies to play off, yellow, white, where traditionally it was just the red tees that ladies used to play off. But now men and ladies can compete in competitions of any tee, the same competition. So it's quite good, really.
That's brilliant. We can see some of the ladies practicing on the green behind us now. How has the club changed? You know, what's been different since this has all come into force?
It's really made the club realise that, you know, we need to do more. We probably were in a good place before, and then we let things slip. And our membership slipped a bit. We were 10 lady members and 1 junior member the 1st of April, and now we're up to 18 ladies and 2 junior ladies, which is great. And it's just growing and growing. We've got 18 ladies on our New to Golf programme. The second lesson was last week, and hopefully quite a few of those, I'm hoping more than 60%, will actually become members. And most of them have got husbands or children in the junior classes.
That's brilliant to hear. Well, as you can see, we've got the ladies behind us. Obviously, it's inspired so many more members to become a part of this. Sam, thank you so much indeed. But yes, it has been a rather beautiful afternoon here in Kidwelly. You can see the sun is beaming down on us. It's been a rather beautiful day. And in fact, it's looking rather nice over the next few days as well. So will they have the right weather conditions to get on the green? Well, let's find out, because we've got a mixture of some scattered cloud and some bright and sunny spells to come over the next few days. So let's take a look at the forecast in a little bit more detail to find out.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Cymru Wales weather.
So if we take a look at the pressure sequence to start things off, then well, high pressure dominates our weather story. That's not really going anywhere over the next few days. So yes, we are going to see a weak cold front track its way southwards as we go through overnight tonight. That's going to introduce a little bit more in the way of some cloud, and we'll even have some cloud just following in from behind that. But still, high pressure keeping things fine, dry and settled, and especially as we head on through into the bank holiday weekend, which is shaping up rather nicely. Now, as far as this evening is concerned, then, well, again, as I mentioned, thanks to that rather weak cold front, that's weak because of the area of high pressure making it weak, we are going to see a little bit of cloud nudging in. However, it is going to be a dry night to come, and plenty of long clear spells as well. But still, despite those clear spells, it does mean that the temperatures are still going to be holding up. So holding up into the double figures. You can see in towns and cities holding up into the teens. However, in some more rural sheltered spots, we could drop down to around 9 degrees Celsius, possibly even a little bit lower. So as you wake first thing tomorrow morning, then you are going to see plenty of mist patches just popping up here and there, especially from the early hours of the morning, but they shouldn't linger around for too long. Now, tomorrow is a bit of a mixed bag, so some of us will get to see some brightness from the word go. Unfortunately, we do have some rather stubborn cloud starting to sink its way southwards. That's following in behind that cold front. So it is going to be a bit grey to start off with. However, it won't stay grey for long. By the time we head on into the afternoon, that cloud will soon start to lift and break. We'll see sunny spells and plenty more in the way of some sunshine and blue skies as we head on through into tomorrow afternoon. And the temperatures really responding to all of that sunshine too. We've got top temperatures tomorrow of 23 degrees Celsius. An average for this time of the year is around 19 or 20, so a good few degrees above average where we really should be for this time of the year.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Cymru Wales weather.
So yes, it's been an absolutely beautiful afternoon here in the sunshine in Kidwelly and Glyn Abbey Golf Club. Glad to see that they've inspired more ladies to get back on the course, and we've certainly got some beautiful weather over the next few days if they do want to get on the green.
It looks lovely. Kelsey, thank you very much indeed. And just before we go, a giant message of support to those fleeing Afghanistan has been drawn in the sand at Tenby's North Beach. The message, which reads "Refugees Welcome," alongside a lifebuoy with Afghanistan written inside it, was created by a group of artists from Choose Love Tenby and appeared on Sunday. Find out more on why they created it, as well as the rest of the day's news on our website. That's all we have time for this evening. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Bye-bye.